Hey, welcome back everybody once again to my Dark Souls spoiler-free absolute beginner's guide. If it's your first time here, please check out the playlist, see if there's any other topics you'd like to learn about. I should have everything covered. This episode we're going to be looking at the equip screen, looking at how you read the different bits of information on there to help inform your equipment choices. Warning, this is a pretty long episode. I tried my best to condense it so it's a bit fast, but there's a lot of stuff in here. So strap in and let's go. So to go to the equip screen, we press our start button and choose the second icon across. Here we can see my current setup. On the left side of the screen is my equipment, and on the right side of the screen is like a status panel. If we press the two-handing button, we can cycle through some screens on this status panel. This first screen shows us our stats, which we'll cover more in the leveling up episode. The second screen shows us our current offensive rating for each item in our left and right hand, and our defensive ratings below. And this third screen shows us our resistances, item discovery, and the magic spells we currently have attuned. So let's have a look at the item slots we have. Up here, these are our left and right hand slots. Generally, right is for offensive items and left is for defensive items. We can put anything in either hand, though it can affect the moveset, so experiment with combinations and see what happens. Below that, we've got our armour slots for head, body, arms and legs. Up here are our quick use items or our item belt. Below those we get arrows and crossbow bolts, and down in this bottom corner we have our ring slots. I'm not going to go through weapons and shields in detail. I mainly just want to show you how we can get information from the various screens to inform our equipment choices. So when we select a slot, we can see a list of items that we can put in this slot. The numbers that we can see here are basic damage numbers for physical and various elemental types. To be honest though, this list is pretty much pointless. Personally, I never use it to choose weapons.
Why?
Well, let's cycle this right panel. As we scroll now, we can see the changes, positive in blue and negative in red, over on the right hand side. But if we look closely, the numbers don't match. Sometimes they're more, or sometimes they're much less. To understand why, let's press the item button to see more information about these weapons. This looks a bit complex, but it's pretty straightforward really. Remember, you can press the help button to scroll through these fields and see what they all mean. So generally the left side of this screen is about attack and the right side is about defense. So to begin, let's look at these four numbers here. These are our attack types and they correspond to this list that we saw earlier on. They represent our physical and various elemental damage types. So as an example, we can look at this spear and see that it does physical damage. And if we look at this lightning spear, we can see that it does physical and lightning damage. Below that we have critical, which is a modifier that influences the damage we do with parries and backstabs. Most weapons have 100, but some weapons can have more. Over at the top left, we've got our damage reduction. So this is a percentage of each attack type that this item can absorb while blocking. So although this primarily affects shields, we can block with weapons while we two-hand them. And if we have a quick look at the shields I've got, we can see that some of them are better at defending certain elements than others. Stability is a number that indicates how much stamina we lose while we're blocking an attack. Shields generally have the highest values, but larger weapons can be pretty effective at blocking. Let's look at parambonus next. This is also known as scaling, and it means that we earn bonus damage depending on our stats. The grading or letters shown here for each of strength, dexterity, intelligence and faith indicate how much of a bonus we get from each stat while we're using this weapon. A dash means no bonus, but otherwise they are ranked D through to S, with D being the smallest bonus and S being the largest. The regular and bonus damage values are shown here, and that's why the numbers in the list didn't match the values on the right hand side. Next, let's have a look at required parameters. These are the stat levels we need in order to use the item effectively for strength, dexterity, intelligence and faith. So for this S stock, we can see that we meet the requirements of 10 strength and 12 dex. If we don't meet the requirements, like for this Zweihander, the requirements we don't meet will be shown in red. And if we look up here, we can see that the bonus damage is actually showing a negative value to reflect our incapability of using the weapon. If we try and equip this Zweihander, we'll get this message: unable to wield this weapon effectively with present stats. And as you can see, we'll have trouble swinging it. Notice that the weapon portrait is darkened and has a red X to reflect that we can't use it. However, there's a sneaky little mechanic relating to two-handing. If we try and use this claymore, for which we need 16 strength, we'll get a different message: insufficient strength to wield this weapon in one hand, hold with both hands to use effectively. And if we try and swing it with one hand, it's just like the Zweihander, we can't do it. But if we press the two-hand button, we can see that the portrait is now enabled, the cross has disappeared, and we can swing the weapon normally. This is because two-handing a weapon increases our strength by 50%. So our strength of 12 here has turned into 18 while we're two-handing a weapon. This stat increase only applies to our strength and doesn't apply to dexterity, intelligence or faith. And right at the bottom here we have got the Aux Effects. So as the description says, these are how strong the bleed, poison and other effects are on the weapon. Finally, down in the bottom right we've got durability and weight. So each item you can equip in your hands or on your body has a durability meter which depletes over time, whether that's from hitting enemies or taking damage. As the durability gets closer to 0, the item will become weaker. If it actually hits 0, the item will break and become unequipable. There are ways to fix things, so don't panic. As for weight, we'll talk about this a bit more after we've gone through armour, but each item you can equip in your hands or wear as armour has its own weight value. You have an equip weight limit which is driven by your endurance stat. As for the quick access items, the arrows and rings, they're all pretty simple. Just remember to read the descriptions and check the various panels to see the effects the items have. Okay, so next let's have a quick look at how armour works. Again, remember that you can press the item button to see more details. Things are a bit different this time. We've got defences on the left hand side and resistances on the right hand side. For defense, we've got defense against different kinds of physical attack and also the elemental attacks. And these resistances are our defense against the various status effects that exist in Dark Souls. Poise is quite an interesting one. We'll talk about it more in the combat episode, but for now, just know it's your resistance to flinching or being interrupted by enemy attacks. Generally, heavier armor has more poise, which leads us nicely into talking about equip load. So equip load is a value that's used to restrict how much gear we can equip, and it increases along with our endurance stat. We can equip over 100%, but if we do, we can barely move. And if we try and roll, not good. So there are 3 equip load boundaries to keep in mind. If you're over 50%, you will move slowly and can't roll very well. If we're under 50%, we can move a bit faster and roll a bit better. And if we're under 25%, we will move the fastest and have the quickest roll. And just finally, I want to do a quick little bit on item discovery. Every enemy in the game has a set of items it can drop. This could be their armor, plus maybe some consumable or other useful items. Each item has a percentage chance of dropping. Now this can be really complicated if you dig into it, but it's quite simple if you think about it like this. Increasing your item discovery reduces your chance of getting nothing. Some items will improve item discovery, and you can check this by using the information in this equip screen. But there's also another sneakier way that you can do this. If you have humanity in your counter at the top left, every point will increase your item discovery by a set amount. This increase will stop once you have 10 humanity in your counter. I told you it was a lot. Is your brain melting? My brain is melting. I've been editing this video for months, it feels like. Hope it's been useful, guys. Next time, we're going to be looking at leveling up and how you read the different bits of information on those screens. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.